The oldest coach in NFL history just got a win in his Raiders head coaching debut. Pete Carroll becomes the first coach to win his debut with every franchise he's coached with, at least 4 different franchises in his history. So, Pete Carroll, big day. The Raiders take down the Patriots, and Yahoo Sports Daily, Caroline Fenton, Jason Fitz. I'll try and be measured here. No, I won't. I'm a fan. We all know I'm a fan. But here's the thing.
Let it fly, Fitz. Let it go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The Raiders beat the snot out of the Patriots. It was 20-13 was the final score. But this Raiders team went out and they looked really good. And this is again where I'll say the eye test matters, right? Geno came out, played really well. It wasn't the best day running the football, but Geno played really well. The Raiders looked explosive. The Raiders defense played way better. And Caroline, the first thing that I walked away from every year, we look at teams that we're asking who's going to take a meteoric leap. And as I say, walking into the season, I don't know which team that's going to be. I don't know if it's the Raiders. But I do know this is a different culture. You can tell when you watch a team if it's just momentum or if it's a culture change. There was an element here where I thought the biggest part of the Raiders-Patriots game, this is 2 teams that people are falling in love with taking a big old leap forward. The question is, which team was going to look different on the field? And the answer to that was the Raiders. For all the credit that Mike Vrabel was getting for supposedly turning around the Patriots, I don't think the Patriots looked vastly different in their first game under Mike Vrabel than they did last year with a coach that made it 1 year, right? Like, if we're being honest, the Patriots got in their own way. Drake Maye didn't look like he was really ready to run this offense. They never really got a run game going. It didn't feel like there was a plan of attack. Their defense tripped over themselves a bunch. In the meantime, the Raiders on the other side looked controlled. They looked calculated. It looked like they knew what was coming. They executed well. They called plays that the Patriots simply weren't ready for. The Raiders were better coached. The Raiders better executed. And to me, that speaks to culture. When you start to talk about what makes things different, when you're a team that sucks, and my favorite team has sucked for the better part, for the majority of the last 20 plus years, I have watched trash football. And I walked away from yesterday saying, you know what? It's just a win. It's just a win over a team that I don't think is going to be great in the Patriots, but it's pretty good. But the most important part about it is it just looked and felt different. And that, to me, is the statement you have to be looking for in week 1 to try and figure out what teams are going to make a rise.
And that's the Football Vibes Index. Sometimes good vibes can be a really powerful thing. And I just want to say, good for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, I think, is a very easy guy to root for. And I talked to a player who played under Pete Carroll in Seattle for a very, very long time. And I asked him, why do you think he wants to come back? You know, he's in his mid-70s. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won a national championship. He's done everything that I think as a coach you would want to accomplish. So why come back when you could just enjoy your riches on a boat? And that player told me he loves football. Like, he loves to coach football. He loves to develop young players. He just loves to be around the game. So I love, good stories for guys who just genuinely care about winning football games, about developing players, and just care about football. So good for Pete Carroll. New England, though, it's 1 week under a new coaching staff with a second-year quarterback. So I know it's only 1 week, but we only have 1 week to go off of. The Patriots look like the team that I thought that they were going to be. And the Patriots were like that sexy team that everyone thought, oh, okay, the Patriots do something. Mike Vrabel, he's a great head coach. Drake Maye could take these next steps forward. There was all this sort of optimism surrounding the Patriots that I think was cemented only in feeling and not really necessarily in fact. And we just saw kind of the same things that we've always seen from the Patriots, right? Mike Vrabel said, we might be outmatched in talent, but what we will do as a team is take advantage of bad football. They didn't do that. In fact, it was a lot of them doing bad football things themselves yesterday. They had 9 penalties on the day. They were incredibly stagnant offensively. I didn't really see any development from Drake Maye. That's not to say that it can't come, but we didn't see it in week 1. They missed a field goal, just like silly points that they left on the board. The defense gave up several explosive plays. Credit to the Raiders for that, but also, Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy. The defense didn't look much better. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone, other gimme points that they just didn't get. And they also threw the ball 46 times. That's not a recipe for success for this team with a young quarterback and a new offensive system. So it just felt like kind of the same from the Patriots. And Mike Vrabel's whole calling card is like, we'll be more disciplined than you. And they weren't. Mike Vrabel's whole calling card is, we're not going to make the shoot yourself in the foot mistakes. And they did. So credit to the Raiders for feeling like there is so much optimism in the room, because there should be optimism in the room, because finally the Raiders feel like they have competent leadership. Whereas the Patriots, I'm left just feeling very,
I think part of this too, look, I know that it's sexy to yell and scream great, huge hot takes, but anybody that's been listening to this show, and we appreciate you guys that hang out with us every day, I think it figured out that we're pretty measured in most of what we talk about. I like to think the measured approach on the Patriots has been consistent for me. Josh McDaniels' offense is very difficult. And I know people that have played in it. I've talked to guys that played in the league for a long time under Josh McDaniels. One guy that played 10 years in the league told me that the day that he walked into Josh McDaniels' offense was the day that he realized it was a foreign language, like nothing he'd ever seen before. So now you have Drake Maye, who's been with Josh for a few months, trying to learn a offense that one player told me is like a foreign language. And so you end up with 30 of 46. And like KOC, our own KOC, Drake Maye isn't the guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Drake Maye is going to be the guy with Josh McDaniels, because it does require a certain type of quarterback. But 30 of 46, Travion Henderson was supposed to be the answer, right? Coming into the day, it was Travion Henderson is going to be absolutely everything at running back. Look at their future. He had 5 rushes for 27 yards. How do you got Travion and Ramondre, between the two of them, carried the ball a total of 12 times. You ran the ball 18 times. It was wet. It was rainy. It was gross. You ran the ball 18 times, and that includes 4 times that Drake Maye got out. So you really used the running game 14 times. That to me is that's bad offensive play calling by Josh McDaniels in that situation.
You're setting your quarterback up to fail.
100%. Like the fact that Ashton Genty, who did not have a great game running the football, averaged less than 2 yards a rush. Ashton Genty had more rushes than the Patriots had as an entire team, and he ran for less than 2 yards a clip. Like, I just think that the Patriots are a work in progress, and that's why I keep saying the Patriots are going to be better this year. I just think this leap that Vegas wanted them to take to suddenly they're going to win 9-10 games, like, I don't see that. The Patriots, by the end of the year, reasonably, I think, are a 6 or 7 win team, but you feel much better about the direction they're heading in. I wish we would let gradual growth be more of the process of how we view certain football teams. We want everybody to do what the Texans did a couple of years ago or the Commanders did last year, because that's more fun. But I just don't think sustainably, realistically, I keep saying this, there's a difference between being a fan of a playoff team and being a fan of a good team. I've watched 2 playoff teams in the last 20 years as a Raiders fan. Neither of those teams were particularly good. They just got hot at the right time. Well, if your team sucks, instead of rooting for the playoffs, because that feels good, root for the foundation of your team to become good. And that takes time. I'm not giving up on the Patriots. I think the Patriots are, to use the Danny Green, the Patriots are who we thought they were. I think the Patriots are a 6 or 7 win team. And I'm not sure the Raiders are much better than that. The Raiders, to me, are probably a 7 or 8 win team. But I walked away from week 1 saying, okay, here's what I know. The Patriots already don't have a guy. I should say the Raiders already have a guy that puts them in a situation where they take advantage of the opportunities they get. And that's all you should be asking for. But I'm going to be on one all week because my beloved Raiders are 1-0. I'll wait a few days to complain about next week being a 10 p.m. Monday night kickoff. That's way too old for my old ass on the East Coast.
That's rude and illegal.
It's rude. You know what, NFL? We need to have some words. Raj, call me. I don't like that. All right.